YouTube is activated, and I see that many of the guests have already joined this virtual meeting. Welcome everyone to this second public event hosted by the new European Bauhaus Friendship Group at the European Parliament. After several months of work following the creation of this group, we are holding a series of events open to the public.
Okay, I'm very sorry, but it seems like Marcos is having some problems. I don't know if it's going to be solved. And maybe we can wait just 1 or 2 minutes. I will call him. Okay.
Do you have a backup who is going to moderate if it doesn't?
Yeah, myself. But
okay. Okay, good.
I won't try just to contact him. Hey, Marcos, are you here again? Are you with us? It does seem to be the case. So maybe we can jump to the next speaker. I don't know. Just 1 sec. I will stop the YouTube emission. I don't know. Well, in the meantime, while Marcos is solving her technical problems, I will continue by giving the floor to our second speakers on this initial point, to Snezhina Petrova.
Marcos is back. Marcos is back.
Marcos, are you with us?
But yes, I am with you, but I'm not very sure for how many times. I was saying that we are the largest group in the parliament, friendship group, 36 members, 7 political groups, 15 different member states, and we are present on 17 of the 20 standing committees. This shows the general interest that there are across in the European Parliament in this initiative. Well, I think that all of us who are or will be connected or present at this event that we are having today, we are aware of the great opportunity that this new European Bauhaus represents to put architecture, urbanism, design and culture at the center of the European Union policies. When we speak of the new European Bauhaus, we speak of a cultural paradigm shift for a new political time. As you know, this initiative was planned in 3 phases: co-design, results, and dissemination. These phases will run in parallel, overlapping each other as follows. The co-design phase consisted of collecting innovative ideas, challenges to be addressed, and examples of good practices. The results phase, which we are currently in, serves for the preparation and implementation of pilot projects through the specific calls of proposals. And the last phase, dissemination, will focus on amplifying all these ideas and measures and bringing them to a wider audience, both in Europe and beyond. Where are we now? On Wednesday, 15 September, the European Commission launched its official communication on the new European Bauhaus. It finally details the intentions for this initiative and starts the negotiation process with the other European institutions. The new European Bauhaus remains based on its 3 core values: sustainability, aesthetics, and inclusion. To these are added the 3 new key principles from which this project should be approached: the combination of local and global dimensions, participation, and transdisciplinarity. Another novelty is that the Commission has defined 4 thematic axes to be addressed by the new European Bauhaus: reconnecting with nature, regaining a sense of belonging, prioritizing the places and people who need it most, and the need to think long-term in the cycle, in the life cycle. Another important step forward is the intention to create a strategic framework together with the Parliament, the other institutions, and the Member States, defined on the basis of synergies between policies and funding instruments already existing in the European programs. A cross-cutting project. Everything can be labeled as Bauhaus project. The Commission will finance the seed, then the Member States, regions, and cities will develop it. For these seeds, several calls are proposed, either fully dedicated or partially contributing to the new European Bauhaus, following the 3 types of impact that projects should seek, and with a total value for just 85 million euros. Finally, I am finishing. Other new features will be the creation of a NEB lab with the aim of giving continuity to the activities already initiated by the high-level roundtable and the official partners. And in addition to this, a new European Bauhaus Festival will be held in spring 2022, in addition to other actions such as the organization of an annual New European Bauhaus Award, which will give continuity to the first Bauhaus Awards held this year. In short, this new European Bauhaus is an unprecedented opportunity to rethink our built environment, to commit to our cultural heritage and our surroundings by improving the quality of our architecture and our urban planning, and to apply these criteria to the projects to be submitted to the funds of the recovery plan. In addition to this, this is the first time that architecture and urbanism has been placed at the center, at the core of the European Union's policies, with the opportunity that this entails for a sector that has suffered severely in previous crises. I would like to end with a thought that I always share in my speeches and out of Parliament, in and out of Parliament, and which I hope will become more widespread. And that is that architecture really can change our lives, but only the good architecture can improve them. Without further delay, to continue with the opening and welcome to this event, I will now give the floor to Mrs. Snezhina Petrova, who is member of the cabinet of Mariya Gabriel, Commissioner Gabriel, our Commissioner for Innovation, Research, Culture, Education, and Youth, who has been very active and very involved and very committed to the new European Bauhaus. Snezhina, we are very happy that you are here representing the European Commission, and it is a pleasure for me to be able to give you the floor. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. Dear Mr. Semperi, honorable members of the European Parliament, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for this invitation to Commissioner Gabriel, She is not in a position to join you today due to prior commitments, but she asked me to convey to you her message. Thank you also for the organization of this event and the engagement of the new European Bauhaus Friendship Group in the European Parliament to reinforce the visibility of the initiative, to strengthen our collaboration with the European Parliament on this topic, as well as to further enriching the discussions and contributions for its implementation. As you know, the initiative started at the beginning of this year with an initial 6-month cooperation process that brought to light a wealth of existing experiences, ideas, and visions of thousands of people from Europe and all over the world on what makes our living spaces and lifestyles beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive, on how we can turn the European Green Deal into a cultural project. Benefiting from collective thinking, knowledge and action, we can deliver now the much needed boost to our societies to successfully face today's challenges. It is in our hands to create new solutions and meaningful transformations that improve the quality of life for us all. The new European Bauhaus also takes inspiration from existing beautiful, sustainable, and inclusive places and projects in Europe. Through the first new European Bauhaus prizes, we celebrated these achievements, awarding prizes across 10 categories, from products and lifestyles through cultural heritage regeneration to reinvented places to meet and share. The communication, which we, the European Commission, adopted last month, presents a rich diversity of actions and opportunities. Over 85 million euro will be mobilized in this year and next year through dedicated calls to support the development of new European Bauhaus activities across the Union. Among the recently launched actions, I would mention the call within the Horizon Europe missions worth 25 million euro. It will support the launch of at least 5 lighthouse demonstrators, which will have the function of kicking off the transformation on the ground. Also part of the initial package, there is another call under Horizon Europe with a budget of about 10 million euro, which will support demonstrators in the field of social and affordable housing. One of the key principles is the participatory character, with a new European Bauhaus Festival to be convened support and learning. Another principle is transdisciplinarity. By bridging science and innovation with art and culture and taking a holistic approach, the new European Bauhaus will create innovative solutions that need less carbon, that are accessible and affordable for us all. Finally, the new European Bauhaus has an ambitious agenda. But we know that change is possible because it is happening already. We all agree that the new European Bauhaus is a groundbreaking initiative for the sustainable and inclusive development of a beautiful Europe. Culture, heritage, and the arts have here a major role to play. They have already paved the way and will continue to do so through their creative participatory and forward-looking approaches and initiatives. To conclude, for the successful implementation of the new European Bauhaus, we need to find effective ways to support communities capable of expanding and mainstreaming the transformation we are aiming at. The needed change relies on the responsibility of all of us. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you so much, Snezhina, for your words and for your contribution to this point of our event. The honest truth is that we appreciate the enormous work that the European Commission has done in recent months with regard to Bauhaus, European Bauhaus, and especially the sprint it has made to draw up the official communication and initiate the dialogue with the rest of the European institutions. Then we now move on the next item of the agenda, the first point, which is the transformative power of the cities. We are very committed that our cities are places where constantly are taking place transformation processes. The new European Bauhaus give us the possibility to use these processes to improve our quality of life through proper construction, design, and urban planning. In addition, the new European Bauhaus must address all possible scales from furniture design to land use planning, going through housing, public spaces, design, all the scales. For this point of the agenda, I would like to invite to activate their cameras to Daniele Di Fausto, Massimiliano Smeriglio, Artis Gustovskis, and Manuel Pizarro. You are all very welcome to this event, and I thank you very much for participating in this event. To start this point, I have the pleasure to give the floor now to Daniele Di Fausto, who is the CEO of EFM Engaging Places. His organization tries to help organizations bring human resources, real estate, and technology resources together to create engaging places designed to attract and retain top talent and improve workplace wellness, utilization, and productivity. I won't go any further as we are looking forward to hearing from him. Please, Daniel, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. It's a big pleasure to be here with you. And let's start this speech with a phrase that impressed me very much from Joseph Albers, who said, "For me, abstraction is real, probably more real than nature." Why this sentence is so important during the pandemic? Because many times, I think most of us has thought, are our colleagues real or not? Our office, physical or digital? So the aim of the Upquarter proposition, the Upquarter project, is linked with this proposition, how we can embrace together physical asset, emotion, people, environment, beauty, all together. But before starting, let me a brief introduction about myself. As I was presented, I'm the CEO of EFM, that is a platform company involved in engaging places. We work in 4 continents, and we do the digitalization of buildings and assets and the built environment with simulation of people. During the pandemic, I was involved in the creation of this concept of Upquarter. Why? Because if we think about our city and we think about an experience of an employee, a normal employee, every morning, this person went from his home and reached the center of the city. This creates congestion, a lot of traffic, and a flow to go to the headquarters of this office. Now, with the digitalization process and with the change that everyone has looked at, what we have faced, that this process can be changed. Why? Because offices is not a symbol of work. Hospital is not a symbol of health, and even shops are not more a symbol of shopping. This means that we can have a possibility to rethink our city in a distributed way. So which is the way in which we can work every way? And the transformation that I think in the project we must think about is similar to the mobility sector. When the car was with a key, the digital key, it changed from its used from a private use to a public use, from a common use. Now, I think that the space, the building environment can do the same transformation. If we can create a platform that can open and connect a physical space to each other, we can give more possibility to work in a near 15 minutes city. We can give people the possibility not only to go in the center of the city, but to work from everywhere. And this shape a new concept in which the building environment become a service. To do that is very important to think about a platform that is able to connect the different places and to reimagine the experience that people will have and to live inside. In 2018, we created a platform that is called MySpot, and MySpot is able to connect the different places in a digital way and to give to the people the possibility to join different experience. What was very important, and this is an example, that during the pandemic period with the Upported project, we convinced just in a field, the office environment, 42 companies from Italy to share their space from different and multiple employees. So there are many different employees that can select the audience, the office, and find his genius loci, the capability, the vocation of this place, and how to, let me say, increase the possibility to have a social experience. And this project in our proposal can be enriched, can be scaled at European level, and not only related to offices, but we can enlarge the scope of this for learning, for hospitals, for many different types of building to create a network in which people can be connected, not only in a single city, but in a multiple city environment at European level. Why we think that this project, Upported project, is so in line with the values of the new European Bauhaus? Because if we think this reshaping of the city, in which there is a distribution for sustainability and reuse, is something very simple to achieve. So people can have a more life integration, can discover new places. The beauty of these places, the vocation of these places can attract many people, and life can be inside with a new way. And the second point is participation. People want to rediscover the city, not only one place, but many different places, and connect each other. So a sense of inclusion, well-being, and participation. And third, I think that is a very important point, the aesthetics, the beautiful of architecture. That is an element that, let me say, we can empower in order to attract people to have a good experience. So the Upported project is in experimentation phase. We are seeing in Italy that in the office building is giving attraction. What we think is that this project must be, let me say, in link with the new Bauhaus proposition and must embrace a different kind of environment and connect each other.
Thank you so much, Daniele, for your words and the work that you and your organization are carrying out. I think it's very interesting that all the points that you have highlighted, especially those related to the way in which we work and live on the cities. And I think that organizations like yours are working to improve the quality of the built environment, and this is fantastic to hear about it. Now I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Massimiliano Smeriglio, member of the European Parliament from Italy, where there is really a very strong Bauhaus movement that is involving many actors. Massimiliano, you have the floor now.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Afternoon, everybody. First of all, let me thank you, Marcos, and the new staff for the planning of this second public event of the new European Bauhaus Friendship Group. It's really important that we as a representative continue to actively participate to the debate of this new and exciting initiative. And it's crucial that we do so by involving of relevant actors. Hence, I would also like to thank the public and private organizations that are here with us today, and I especially thank Daniele and EFM for accepting my invitation and for this really insightful presentation. The Hub Quarter is an extremely timely project of the living and working condition we experienced during the pandemic. We need to regain possession of the aggregation system on private and public spaces, defining the town in a sustainable way. The transformative power of cities is indeed a strong concept if we put such a vision into perspective. Cities have the potential to be a driving force for overcoming inequalities that have been exacerbated lately by the pandemic, precisely because peripheral and suburb spaces should be integrated into a single multifunctional model. Rethinking public space and infrastructure is not just an exercise in style. It has the power to improve urban life quality for all, and accessibility is surely a precondition of that. I can't wait for the new European Bauhaus initiative to develop further, and to see the pilot project that are going to be implemented in this framework. I think that the substantial increases in the budget dedicated to the initiative is wonderful news, and we need to keep doing our work within this friend group to advocate for a new Bauhaus that can represent a co-creative ecosystem that leaves no one behind, and approach that makes the Green Deal a cultural experience capable and putting women and men at the center, improving their quality of life as well as the health of the planet. Thank you, Marcos.
Thank you so much, Massimiliano, for your very valuable inputs and for your work in this friendship group. After your words and without further ado, I would like to give way to Mr. Artis Gustovskis, who is Manager of Innovation and Tourism Projects at Kuldīga City Council. From this town council, we know that you have been very active in architectural renovation projects, and we would like you to share with us your experience as a small rural town that already uses Bauhaus priorities in its projects. Welcome, artists. You have the floor.
Thank you so much, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's really a pleasure to hear you. I really enjoyed your previous speakers and so on. I will now share my presentation. Can I ask you to enable my screen sharing, ladies and gentlemen? Then I could show you my short presentation. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Do you see now?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. I just would like you to say that in Kuldīga, how we do understand the European Bauhaus, and I really very impressive about this new initiative. And thanks to Mrs. Vaidere and other parliament deputies, we really try our best to develop this Bauhaus new idea in Kuldīga. So, as Bauhaus idea is beautiful and sustainable together, I will stress today on 3 short topics as well, because I have only 5 minutes. So, smart city tools, renovation of our UNESCO Old Town, and Bauhaus Smart Art Festival. Well, we already developing our city Kuldīga as a smart city with different sustainable tools, from which the 3 The major tools are digital counters and sensors, as well as data analytics and open data tools. For that, we on 2007 reached European Destinations of Excellence. Then we got the European Innovation Prize for Tourism. Then we get into Global Sustainable Top 100, and we are also making different hackathons about smart tourism and data. But as you already mentioned, we're working hard for sustainable renovation of UNESCO Old Town of Kuldīga. So what we are doing, mainly we try to ensure the prevention of the authenticity of Kuldīga historical Old Town. Then we also try to keep alive all kind of crafts and traditions in the all kind of sustainability way. And then our most goal we reached is that every resident of Kuldīga UNESCO Old Town can restore by his own hands the wooden doors or wooden windows of his house. For that we got Europa Nostra award, and we go into international UNESCO award. But the third thing, I just mentioning very short, just a few things. And the third thing is, which is we call our Kuldīga Bauhaus Smart Art Festival. Why? Because it's uniting green event. We using all the green tools according green ABC of green events of Europe. For example, we using for artists our e-mobiles, we using ecological paints, and we using also ecological meals, etc., etc. And we also involving all kind of citizens in this festival. For example, Kuldīga Senior Citizen School, different students, young people from schools, and together we really doing really beautiful things. So we're going to get and to build like Bauhaus Open Art Gallery in Kuldīga. And the last 2 years, we already made about 16 murals for walls. And the main thing is to renovate old, also abandoned houses to new like artworks. So I think our kind of additional thing for European Bauhaus Initiative could be not only beautiful and sustainable together, but also smart together. So, dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I would be very happy if you have any questions. I'm stopping sharing my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Artis, for your contribution, and of course for the excellent work that you are doing from the Kuldīga City Council. It is a pleasure for us to hear how municipalities like yours are working to improve their building stock and their environment according to the new European Bauhaus principles. Now, I would like to pass the floor to other of my colleagues, Manuel Pizarro, who is also a member of the European Parliament from the Socialist and Democrats group from Portugal, where there are also a lot of Bauhaus initiatives that are involving the society. Manuel, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Marcos, and thank you for the fantastic work that you are doing in the leadership of our friendship group. Well, the transformative power of cities was the theme of that panel, and I must remember that the poet Charles Baudelaire, one of the heralds of modernity, once wrote that, and I'm quoting, "The shape of a city changes faster than the heart of a mortal." We might as well say that the main feature of the city is change, movement, and transformation. And as humans, we change along with cities. We move along with them, and we are transformed by them. Over the centuries, politicians and urbanists tried to anticipate and to manage change by adjusting policy actions to collective dynamics and to economic and social problems. But times have changed dramatically. The pressing issues of global warming, carbon neutrality, and energy efficiency, the new challenges related to circular and collaborative economy, to mobility, to physical and mental health, among many others, require us to be more ambitious and intelligent than ever. Now it's up to us to transform the cities. Anticipation and preparation have become a political imperative. To some extent, this has been the approach of the EU as regards the local level, to support cities in becoming more sustainable and inclusive. There is a variety of examples across the EU that show that this is possible. But the new European Bauhaus introduces a new, and let me say, surprising element in the EU's approach, an aesthetic dimension, which is simultaneously an ethical dimension. Indeed, we are not accustomed to find words and expressions such as beauty, regaining a sense of belonging, and reconnecting with nature in EU programs and documents. This novelty cannot be underestimated. To my knowledge, this is the first time that the EU, better known for producing dispassionate documents, intends to hatch an aesthetical movement, even if it draws inspiration from a well-known movement on the beginning of the 20th century. A movement in which, I will quote again, sustainability matches style, as we read in the European Commission communication, integrating some of the EU key priorities, such as the twin transitions or the European pillar of social rights, and even having a cooperative dimension at the global level. For now, this endeavor is prospective and experimental. But if the new European Bauhaus initiative proves successful, I believe it will open up new prospects for the European project of tremendous potential, paving the way for actions that can meet the ideals and the aspirations of the younger generations, for instance, and that could shape the European identity and inspire a renewed sense of pride. It seems to me that the new European Bauhaus is, in a way, a new iteration of the utopian right to the city, which Henri Lefebvre spoke of in the wake of the May 68. I will say now, the right to inhabit a co-created, beautiful, green and inclusive city. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Manuel, for your very valuable inputs. I do completely, fully agree with the thing that it's the first time that we go out from the budgetary procedures and we enter into beauty at the heart of the European policies. I think this is the most important thing that we have to put on value. After your words and with further delay, we jump to our next point of our agenda, which is culture and design at the service of the citizen. We all really know that this new European Bauhaus wants to be a real cultural and transformative movement, linking culture and Green Deal to improve our quality of life. In this point of our agenda, we can address the role of the culture and design in improving the quality of life of our citizens and how the new European Bauhaus, through a cultural movement, can bring concrete solutions to its implementation. For this point of the agenda, I would like to invite to activate their cameras to Željana Zovko, Sneška Quaedvlieg, Iskra Mihaylova, Marco Sammicheli, and Eleonora. Very, very welcome and warm welcome to all of you this afternoon. And thank you, all of you, for participation. Our first speaker will be Mrs. Zovko, who is a member of the EPP group on the European Parliament. She is from Croatia, and she is also very interested in cultural heritage and its state of conservation. Željana, you have the floor.
Right, thank you very much, Marcus, and thanks once again for really being so active and promoting so much our group, our friendship group, and the whole idea of new Bauhaus. The idea that in the beginning did not have such a clear understanding among many of those who we are trying to explain what we are here for and why we are advocating so much the inclusion of all these creative people. So last week I was in Croatia for the opening of Archibau conference, the conference that gathered all the architects and all those who are interested in designing, in the new design, in the new Bauhaus, and to see how this combination of culture and cultural heritage and combination of the new and old can benefit to the idea of a new Bauhaus. So I think that this roundtable is very timely. I see that we have Madam Mihailović from Europa Nostra, who will, and I salute her, who will speak about Europa Nostra and the great effort that Europa Nostra is doing on preserving cultural heritage, and how this combination of cultural heritage and tourism and probably the new design, the new buildings, and that the new Bauhaus is offering can be incorporating the preservation of cultural heritage as well. And also Mr. Sammicheli from Triennalle Milano, who is much more able and ready to offer this creative view on what you can really get use of this idea of new Bauhaus. But from my side, what I can see from this, the whole idea is that we should get more and more finances for the whole for the future laboratories, for the future ideas, and for the incorporation that this baby that has been born by the speech of Madame Ursula von der Leyen and now is being developed by all of us, that gets as much support as we can have, and to have many creative people involved, so that it's not just the talk, it's not just the design, that we finally start living this. As a Croat who lives in Split, I know very well how culture and cultural heritage can be combined with the beautiful design, and how we should resist in the future all this. I mean, my advocacy is that we should incorporate this element of safety, because we have all these climate changes that bring earthquakes, floods, and fires. So the safety is one of the main priority that I'm really concerned with in this endeavor, and I would really advocate that this is incorporated. So I wish you a good start, and I think that much more we can hear from Madam Mihailović from Europa Nostra. As I used to work with UNESCO, I know Europa Nostra is the best one to consult us on how we can incorporate the old with the new. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Željana, for your words. And now, first to give way to our next speaker, I would like to ask to Mr. Artis Gustovskis to send back the holding of the meeting to Francisco, because we need to manage some things. Sorry. And I think there is no, for the next speaker, there is no one better suited to talk about culture and its role in this new European Bauhaus than Sneška. Sneška is the Secretary General, Sneška Quaedvlieg is the Secretary General of Europa Nostra. I think we are all aware of the work of this great organization that defends the interest of cultural heritage throughout Europe. And I won't go on any longer because we all want to hear from you, Sneška. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Marcos, for your very kind introduction. And also I want to thank very much to Željana Zovko also for her very kind words. We are really thrilled to have been invited to contribute to this important meeting. We are a very proud partner. We have been among the first 13 partners of the new European Bauhaus initiative. And it's so important to have partners, but it's so important to have friends. And I first want to congratulate Marcos, you for your leadership. How wonderful that we have an architect among the representatives of citizens in the European Parliament, and that you have gathered such a wonderful friendship circle, because this movement this is so much more than an initiative and a project or a budgetary line. It is a revolutionary project. I think as a spokesperson of the civil society movement working for cultural heritage, I think that I wonder whether President von der Leyen realized what she was doing when she, whether she realized how much enthusiasm, how much creative energy this will unleash, and that in the unprecedented times of sanitary emergency, climate emergency, and even democracy emergency that we are living. So for us, for Europa Nostra, it was obvious that we want to be part of that movement, because when we speak about a more beautiful, a more sustainable, a more inclusive living environment, whether in cities or in rural areas, of course we are talking also about cultural heritage, because our living environment, wherever in cities or in rural areas, has a fundamental heritage and historic dimension. And that's why we have immediately responded to the call for mobilization. We have mobilized our members, and we're keen to demonstrate how much the whole green transformation of our society requires a cultural transformation, a real change in our mindset. It is the attitude towards our living environment, which includes built and natural. And that's why, in a sense, also the cultural heritage can bring so many responses to many challenges and many questions that the whole new European Bauhaus initiative and movement has started. Together with, I was very pleased to hear Manuel Pizarro saying
in a budget. But maybe we really speak about the new European Renaissance, because the change of the minds is a renaissance. We change the way of life of the people through the Green Deal, and we try to change the people's minds through the new European Bauhaus, and through the way of including all the institutions which are responsible for the culture, for the design, for the beauty, for the spatial planning, for the management of our cities and villages, for the governance. And that's why I would like to underline one of the characteristics of the new European Bauhaus. The initiative is inclusive. It is very important. It includes the whole level of governance, beginning from the European Union, going through the national governments and parliaments, going through the municipal level, before that the regional level and municipal level, and then to every one of the European citizens, because we address our efforts to every one of the citizens. Between all them is, of course, cultural heritage, but I'm not going to speak about it, because everything was mentioned already, and we have these great papers. We have to work on them and include the whole idea of cultural heritage as a transformation forward the new Renaissance in the Conference of Future of Europe. I think that this is the main goal of the members of the Parliament on this level. But also I would like to mention the cultural institutions around Europe, and also the institutions of cultural memory. What I mean libraries, museums, and archives. These institutions are extremely important in their contacts with the local authorities, with national authorities. They play a very important role in creation of the strategies for development of each one of the territories. They can bring very interesting and useful support for creation of spatial planning for each one of the villages and cities in Europe. And also they are like a spring for old new ideas, because Sneška already mentioned, I had many meetings with the construction sector, for example, concerning new European Bauhaus. And we see the role of construction sector not only in implementation of the design projects of architects. We see their role in using the materials which are traditional, the techniques in building process which are traditional for the particular place and territory. We see in practice which are traditionals and which are part of the cultural heritage and which are part of the culture which we preserve in whole Europe. So my message will be that we have being inclusive. The Bauhaus should include in the efforts all the institutions who can support the idea of the European Bauhaus, not to speak only about the architectures and designers, what is great because we speak about beauty, not to speak only about the heritage, but involve the institutions of the cultural institutions to be our partners and use their funds and their abilities to contribute to the idea of new European Renaissance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Iskra, for your contribution. And now I will give way to our next speaker. I would like to introduce Marco Sammicheli, who is the International Relations Chief Office of the Triennalle Milano. In addition to organizing a series of conferences, the Triennalle de Milano is working from a design perspective on the new European Bauhaus. We are looking forward to hear about your work, Marco. I am going to ask all the next participants that we are with a little bit delay of 10 minutes that maybe all of you can adjust to the slot time that you have. And Marco, now, so please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Marcos, and thank you also to Eleonora for inviting me to taking part of this conversation. I'm very pleased to have the chance to share with you some of my comments and experiences regarding new European Bauhaus. By the way, at Triennale, myself and Stefano Boeri, we were the first to respond to Ursula von der Leyen statement when she launched new European Bauhaus, because we were quite surprised by the fact that for the first time in the recent history of the European Commission, the tradition of design and architecture and the word Bauhaus was part of a political statement in such a higher level. So we immediately responded because Triennale is quite young lady that is turning 100 years old in 2 years. So we have an experience in terms of international affairs when it comes to culture. And also because since day one, we belong to BAI, the Bureau International des Expositions, and that makes us comfortable when we have to reinforce a community. Because to us, it's very important that the new European Bauhaus will remain for reinforce and extend an existing community. Every time I listen to figures and role models such as Sneška or other colleagues that they were talking previously, it is important to stress the fact that in our Europa, Nostra, which is not only an association, but it's a statement which means that it belongs to us because it's a public continent, that there are already a lot of networks that they can be federate to give energy and power and commitment to the new European Bauhaus. My family, for example, is a family of an Erasmus generation. If I mention Erasmus, if I mention Europa Nostra, if I mention Cumulus Network, I mention fathers or grandfathers of the new European Bauhaus. It is extremely crucial for Triennale that a new European Bauhaus will build new pedagogies. We are not a location, we are a cultural institution, and new pedagogies means that the idea of building community has to refer first to belonging, to the sense of belonging to a context, and then how this context can speak to different generations. So design, service design, graphic design, communication, and then also I heard Baukultur, which is not only a culture, it's more, it's something that as human beings we need to build in order to stay and to transmit. It's something that I will, and I still do it every time I have a new European Bauhaus meeting. I repeat this statement. We recently had a meeting among all the official partners of the European Bauhaus placed in Milano. Actually, Milano is one of the cities most represented inside the NEB, and it is the Politecnico di Milano, there's the Digital Center NEED, Milan Foundation, and then Bocconi and Catholic University. So we are a group of friends and a group of partners that want, no matter what it will happen with the pilot projects and how it would be phase 2 and phase 3, that new European Bauhaus has to stay and remain as a behavior for the future. Because we think that when it comes to sustainability, it's not anymore a topic, it's a precondition. And that's why for the next international exhibition, the number 23 that we're going to hold in Triennale next year, entitled Unknown Unknowns, Introduction to Mysteries, we are going to work with several European countries, not only to build a national pavilion, but to make public programs as a European continent. And with France, with Germany, Netherlands, Czech Republic, Finland, we are working towards this goal. So for a cultural institution involved in designs, servicing the citizens means these: building new pedagogies on participations and transformation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Marco. It's fantastic to hear from you from Milan about this initiative for the next Triennale. Go on with this. You will have our support. After this, I would like to introduce another colleague, Eleonora Evi. She is a member of the Greens group on the European Parliament, and she is also from Italy. And she has a special background, very close to the world of design and the creative industries. Please, Eleonora, you have the floor.
Thank you, Marcos. Thanks a lot. And thank you to Marco Sammicheli as well, of course, and to all those that have contributed to today with this important event, making again and again a spotlight on this important initiative that is already well known, but I guess that it is important to spread as much as possible the potentialities and tackle also the expectations that we have out of this initiative. And I was reflecting, hearing the intervention that was before me. I really have the feeling that these new European Bauhaus really need to bring us to this new transformation, to this new way of living in Europe, and in a new balance with nature, and in order to tackle all the major crises that we have in front of us: the climate crisis and the biodiversity crisis, the pollution crisis, and inequalities. But to do that, I really believe that it is important to set a new narrative, because today, in some parts of Europe, and I'm also talking about my country, Italy, honestly, there is this narrative which is negative towards the ecological transition. It's a narrative based on the fear that this transition can create in citizens and in industries, in enterprises, and in the society as a whole. And this, I guess, it is one of the main challenges that even through the European Bauhaus, we should start to tackle in order to narrate that the positive world that we want to build together will bring for sure not only a more inclusive world, a more sustainable world, but also will create social and will have positive social effects in terms of job opportunities, for example. This is why I really believe that we need to narrate the beauty of this transformation, the beauty of renewables, for example, the beauty of renewable energies, for example, the beauty of having new way of lives, for example, fostering and enabling local communities in order to have local food, for example, produced in a city, or for example, new ways of working. This kind of narration, I guess, it is crucial to build and to promote, even through the European Bauhaus. And I really would like to see the renovation wave, which is expected to be the main outcome of the European Bauhaus, a real creative wave and a real solar wave, for example, in terms of spreading out the use of renewables. And I guess that in doing so, culture and design in particular will have a major role here, as design by its nature is used to deal with different disciplines and to work across disciplines. So I really think that these could be the way forward in order to scale up all those projects that are already there, that have been already proposed, and that have to be diffused as much as possible. So with a positive narrative that I guess so far it is important, has been already proposed by the European Commission, but have to be reinforced, in my opinion, at the national level.
Thank you very much, Eleonora, for your intervention. And now we are moving to the next item on our agenda. We are going to talk about the European institutions view. I say institutions because in addition to the intervention of Mrs. Snezhina Petrova in the first point, we will now have the pleasure of sharing some time between several members of the Parliament and a member of the European Committee of the Regions. For this point of the agenda, I would like to invite to activate their cameras to Inmaculada Rodríguez, Kieran McCarthy, Inés Badier, and Francisco Millán. Very welcome, all of you. As the first speaker to this point of the event, I would like to give the floor to my colleague Inmaculada, who is Inmaculada Rodríguez, who is also a Spanish member of the European Parliament from the Socialist and Democrat group, and she's from the city of Valencia, where we already know that there are a lot of initiatives already working in Bauhaus projects. Please, Inma, you have the floor. Buenas tardes, Inma.
Okay, thank you very much, and good afternoon, dear colleagues. First of all, for sure, I would like to thank very much Marcos and all his office for the work they are doing in consolidating the European Bauhaus Friendship Group of the European Parliament. I think these type of events are very welcome, and I think they are very interested, all of them, and I have been listening to you, all of you, with a lot of interest, and thank you very much for all your interventions. Well, I believe that in this institution, where all the political sensibilities of the 27 countries of the European Union are represented, should be involved to the maximum in this great initiative promoted directly by the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. I believe that the Commission's communication on the European Bauhaus is very complete and accurate. Moreover, the previous work of listening to civil society only points the way for future initiatives of the European institutions. I think it is also interesting that the Commission has announced that it will involve the European Parliament, the Council, the Committee of the Regions, and the European Economic and Social Committee in raising awareness and promoting the debate in their constituencies. But let us not lose sight of the fact that the Commission's good intentions and the good intentions it has announced do not blind us to the fact that what has been proposed to date is still insufficient. I think to highlight this, I think it is insufficient still. A budget of less than 90 million for the whole of the European Union may be a good start, but we must be more ambitious. The variety of Bauhaus funding mechanisms envisaged in the communication is very interesting. Thanks to existing instruments such as Horizon Europe, plans to get the new European Bauhaus up and running can be deployed now. But more funding will be needed, and above all, funding for its own sustained over time in addition to existing funding. We cannot take funding for this beautiful revolution. I think this is a beautiful revolution we're involved, but I think we cannot take funding from projects already underway. Our own funds must be earmarked, and the complicity and commitment of private capital must be sought. I think it is a fantastic idea that member states should be encouraged to supplement funding from the Next Generation Reconstruction Plan and also from their own budget. But more than an indication, it should be a compromise so that the Bauhaus spirit reaches every village and every neighborhood. It also seems to me a very good initiative to create innovative pilot projects that are emblematic of the values of the new European Bauhaus. Although given the interest that they have aroused throughout the EU, perhaps the idea of proposing only 5 pilot projects in as many countries of the 27 might not be enough. 5 pilot projects for 27 member states, I'm sure it's not enough. That's why I said before, it's very important to be more ambitious. I encourage the Commission, consequently, to extend the number in the future of at least 1 project per member states. And I ask you, all of you, to be involved in this demand to the Commission. The new European Bauhaus must be a lever for the deployment of the new Green Deal and the way out of the COVID crisis. As happened in the last century, when the first Bauhaus exploded, art, design, architecture, urban planning, and culture must help us to be better and to make our cities and towns more beautiful and livable. Tomorrow, as Marcos already said, we are going to have a very interesting event in Valencia, in my constituency, in order to present what the new European Bauhaus can do for a better, as I said before, a better town, more beautiful and more livable. And we are going to be involved with civil society, architects, designers, and representatives of different organizations. I think we have to split as far as we can all what we want to do with the new European Bauhaus, the spirit of the new European Bauhaus. But I think it's very important, we need to count with more funds and with more possibility of choosing more projects for at least one for any member states. This is, from my point of view, the idea I really wanted to transmit all of you today. Thank you very much, Marcos, and all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Inma. Thank you so much for your very valuable inputs. Now, I would like to pass the floor to Mr. Kieran McCarthy, who is a member of the European Committee of the Regions and also a member of the SEDEC Commission, who has been appointed as the rapporteur on the European Bauhaus. Mr. McCarthy, it's a pleasure for us to welcome you here today, and we look forward to hearing about your institution's work and position on the European Bauhaus. Please, Kieran, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marcos. I suppose I've just been appointed because of the communication that was sent by the European Commission to the COR looking for an opinion. But let me say at the outset, I'm a geographer by trade. My PhD is in collective memory and landscape and how we reconfigure place and space. So I'm actually really excited about getting this particular opinion. In particular, I've 2 years ago I finished an opinion on the EU urban agenda and the 14 partnerships and the implementation of that. So I've been following the urban file in the COR for several years now, and also the Digital Europe file as well before that. So I seem to be building on opinions that I have pursued in the past. I come from the city of Cork in the south of Ireland, which is a former European capital of culture. So I know how important cultural heritage actually is. I work as a local historian. I give historical walking tours of my city. I write books in my city. I write a weekly newspaper article on the heritage of my city for the past 22 years. So I like taking different angles and different approaches. And that's why I suppose over the last hour and 20 minutes, my brain is actually hurting from so many ideas that I've actually heard. It's actually really exciting. And the chessboard and the different pieces are vast. They really are. And I suppose my goal as a rapporteur is trying to pull some of those ideas together and yeah, pull them into an opinion, but also that get the COR a part of the story. That's not a case of here's the opinion document to the European Commission and goodbye and good luck. That's how can I actually rally support as well amongst cities and regions within the Committee of the Regions. I just have a few other points, if I may, of things that interest me. I will actually leave my email in the chat if people want to email any responses to me. I will probably be sending out a call to all of yourselves to have a brief chat or an email correspondence or something that I can kind of bounce, that you can bounce ideas off of me. I'd like to make sure that my opinion covers as much, I suppose, detail as possible that you can cover within an institutional kind of opinion. I think somebody mentioned something earlier on that what we have in front of us is quite different to, we say, a normal formative opinion. I think I'd like to think that my opinion is going to have a bit of vump in it, a bit of excitement and creativity in it, that people are going to look at it and kind of go, okay, this is something different to transform cities and regions. So just for me, I think there are things to learn from the past paradigm of where we're at. I do think like the diffusion of the paradigm way back in time was just incredible in the 1930s, and how fast it actually moved. And actually, from a Cork context, we actually didn't get influenced by Central Europe. We got influenced by the American Bauhaus. The Bauhaus actually jumped to America and then back to the British Empire. When we were we weren't part of the British Empire in the 1930s. We were just out of it. But I think there's learnings there to be made. I'd love to see. I must read up more about the history of the first Bauhaus movement and how it actually did diffuse. For me, I think there are current programs out there that are doing a form of Bauhaus movement. I was a participant this morning in the European Commission's expert panel on cultural heritage, and we heard about the ROC project and the CLIC project, two fantastic Horizon 2020 projects at the time. I have a huge interest in Urbact, Interreg. I think they're all doing work that we should draw on. I think the European Green Capitals are also doing some really interesting work. The Innovation Capitals are doing some really interesting things. I'd like to think perhaps if we're continuing some of these talks and debates, that we could invite in kind of guest speakers to run through what they're doing on the ground. I think there's a lot to learn from the pilot projects that went through this year. And also, I know there is an European urban planning network as well. There are people out there. One thing that has struck me, just being a councillor the last 12 years in my city, is the growth in the number of people interested in all things urban and urban thinking and trying to improve their city. It's incredible, the amount of urbanists that have emerged. But somebody mentioned earlier on their speech about the 15-minute city, the smart city. I do think smaller projects are as important as the bigger projects when it comes to this movement. Like in my own city, we recently did a project called Test Site, where we had this derelict site, and we actually brought in an artist to work with carpenters and other people to put something on this derelict site and to explore different ideas for the future of the site in a nutshell. I also have a festival called Design Pop. Design furniture popping up across my city. I think those are important. So I completely would agree with the previous speaker that like the 85 million euros and its diffusion really needs to get down to the smallest of projects as well. We do need more funding. And so I do agree with Mihailović in her call. And yeah, 5 projects is just not enough. I just think the smaller the projects, the better. Just to diffuse this movement. It's great, it's linked to the Horizon missions. I do like the whole idea of marrying the green, the digital and inclusivity. I think several speakers mentioned inequality. Committee of the Regions has been doing a lot of work on the European Pillar of Social Rights. I'm a big fan of Europa Nostra. Before I even start this, I've met Sneška has come into us several times, and she's completely bowled me over with her enthusiasm anyway. Europeana, other heritage organizations. There is a bank of work out there that people have been working on for years that I think needs to be drawn upon. Somebody mentioned the Conference on the Future of Europe. I'm a delegate to that. I actually sit on the Culture and Education workshop. I will certainly be raising the European Bauhaus initiative on that. But for me, what I'd like to see is that, I don't know, in 1 year's time, that we have a set of practical steps kind of set out, that we've got concrete actions, but with interesting outputs, and that we've an open mind to interesting outputs. I would think at this moment in time, I'd say European citizens are looking at this and maybe saying it's vague. And so there's an onus on all of us to really bring out the positivity and enthusiasm that was heard with every single speaker here this afternoon. So those are just some ideas. I hope those are of use. I'll throw my email into the chat. So if people want to bounce stuff off me, they can. Thanks very much, Marcus.
Thank you very much, Kieran, for your inputs. And from my point of view, I think the good exchange and cooperation between institutions is going to be one of the keys to the success of the European Bauhaus. To continue, but because we are very bad of time, I would like to give the floor to Professor Ines Vaider, who is a member of the EPP group, also from Latvia, and one of the very active members of our group, very interested in heritage, historic buildings and architecture. Ines, you have the floor. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, dear Marcus, dear colleagues, dear participants. It's really wonderful to meet you again, at least virtually, probably in the future in person. So many thanks to those who already presented their views, and special thanks goes to Mr. Gustovskis for a perspective of the lovely Latvian town Kuldīga, which, as you know, is located in my country, in Latvia. So, but now, as a member of Environment Committee, I would like to stress that for the European Green Deal to succeed, it cannot be just about achieving emission targets. It needs to be appealing to people. And I believe that the new European Bauhaus is a great way to put the Green Deal into action. This is why I find this initiative so important, and I'm glad to see that it's progressing in the right direction. But we can do even more. I welcome the new European Bauhaus communication, launched by the European Commission last month. There are good proposals in it, such as the Bauhaus Lab and the new EU financing to support pilot projects and turn the ideas of the new European Bauhaus movement into reality. However, I also have a few suggestions to improve this initiative further. Firstly, the initiative must remain a bottom-up one with its own dedicated budget, independent from the Creative Europe program. Inmaculada mentioned and stressed this as well. This way, we will make sure that there are a variety of high-quality projects designed and developed by European artists and architects. Secondly, the new European Bauhaus Prize is a very good initiative which attracted many participants. But for the following years, the voting system must be improved to ensure larger participation and better geographical distribution of the voters and thus also the winners. Finally, I would like to suggest the creation of something like a new European Bauhaus trademark. Perhaps it could be similar to the protected geographical indication which the EU already gives to food. It could be granted to high-quality projects that promote the three main Bauhaus values: sustainability, aesthetics, and inclusion. To conclude, I want to add that I'm very pleased that the preparatory action New European Bauhaus Knowledge Management Platform I worked to prepare has been allocated 2 million euros in the draft EU budget for 2022. The details of it are still being developed, but I'm sure it will help to implement the new Bauhaus movement better. These are my short remarks, and I try to really be short on making the new European Bauhaus activities more inclusive and developing this beautiful initiative further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ines. I do agree, I fully agree with you when you say that New European Bauhaus can be a label project. In fact, you can put the label on something that respect the 3K principles of the New European Bauhaus, and I fully agree with you. After this, and to conclude this point of the agenda, I will pass the floor to other New European Bauhaus Friendship Group member, who is Mr. Francisco Millán, who is also the chair of the European Parliament Intergroup of the European Cultural Heritage, Ways of St. James, and other European cultural roots. Francisco is a member of the EBP group, and he's also a Spanish member. Please, Francisco, you have the floor. Francisco, buenas tardes. Please activate. You are muted.
It's okay now? Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, you.
Okay, thank you very much, Marcos, for your invitation. It's for me a real pleasure to participate today in this event organized by this friendship group. Cultural heritage and its geographical projection along the 45 cultural routes recognized by the Council of Europe is both a legacy of the past and also a resource for the future. Europe has an exceptional cultural heritage, as we all know. It's a result of our common history and values. And this heritage deserves full support from the European institutions as a visible symbol of the permanent links and exchanges among our peoples. Cultural heritage is also a proof of the artistic richness and also of our basic cultural unity of the peoples of Europe. I always say that Romanesque, Gothic, or Baroque are not national artistic styles, but European artistic styles. And so was, of course, the Bauhaus movement. The buildings in Dessau, designed by Walter Gropius, or the Barcelona Pavilion by Mies van der Rohe, or the Maison de l'UNESCO in Paris, designed by Marcel Breuer, all share a common philosophy. They represent beautiful and functional forms of living and working at the service of the citizens. For this reason, I think it would be interesting to study the possibility of creating a European cultural route centered around the Bauhaus. This possible Bauhaus cultural route would sit along the Le Corbusier architectural promenades, certified by the Council of Europe in 2019, or at the Atrium route, which was certified in 2014, and was a route of the architecture of totalitarian regimes of the 20th century in Europe's urban memory. As I said, Bauhaus architecture and design is a token of common European identity that also transcended our borders. Let us think of all the Bauhaus buildings in Chicago, Tel Aviv, Sydney. Now, and thanks to the new European Bauhaus, this philosophy also transcends time and disciplines. The projects under this initiative are at the crossroads between art, culture, social inclusion, science, and technology. I very much welcome this initiative by the European Commission and its president, Mrs. von der Leyen. Now, if you allow me, I will briefly take off my hat of chair of the intergroup and to talk to you about one of these projects. I want to talk about the health service, what we call the Sergas in Galicia, which is my constituency as a Spanish member of the European Parliament. And this Sergas, this health service, is an official partner of the new European Bauhaus. If I am well informed, the only public health service among all those selected. Over the coming months, doctors, nurses, architects, engineers, and other professionals in Galicia will come together to imagine and build an inclusive and sustainable future, where health is also a vector of cultural transformation. As you know very well, Galicia was a pioneer in the process of European construction through the pilgrims' ways to Santiago de Compostela. It is therefore natural that Galicia, always so open to Europe, has also been a pioneer in this European cultural project that is the new Bauhaus. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francisco. I had the opportunity to share some views from with the responsibles of the Sergas the past week, and this is really a fantastic project. I think that these interventions have clearly set out some of the points of view that some of our members of the Parliament and the Committee of the Regions have. Moreover, from the very first moment of the creation of this group, all its members firmly believe that the European institutions should play a more active role. It was one of our demands, supporting this bottom-up initiative and contributing the ideas of its members. To jump to the last point, we are out of time, but we are going to the closing remarks. I would like to welcome two colleagues who are chairpersons of the two committees responsible for culture in the European Parliament and also in the Committee of the Regions. They are Sabine Verheyen, chair of Cult Committee in the European Parliament, and Anne Karjalainen, SEDEC Commission Chair on the Committee of the Regions. Mrs. Sabine apologizes for not being able to be here in present, but in order to be able to participate in this item, she has sent us a video with a presentation for her of her ideas on Bauhaus. So let's have a look.
Dear Marcos Rosempere, dear members of the new European Bauhaus Friendship Group, dear ladies and gentlemen, many thanks for giving me the opportunity to speak to you today about the new European Bauhaus movement, which aims to build bridges between science, innovations, architecture, the cultural and creative industries, and the cultural heritage sector, all being unique resources that characterize Europe and allow us to transform and develop together. The European Bauhaus is first of all a reference to the state Bauhaus founded by Walter Gropius in Weimar in 1919, which developed into an international movement for architecture, art and design, and has helped shape creative thinking and design in many areas of 100 years. At the time, the Bauhaus helped shape the transition to an industrial society. The central goal of the current initiatives is to find new ways to make Europe climate neutral by 2050. Reducing emissions alone will not be enough, And so the new European Bauhaus is to incorporate ideas from all disciplines. The idea is to create a collective movement that will help improve the quality of life and help the EU's Green Deal reach the people, a space of collaborative design and creativity in which architects, artists, students, system scientists, engineers, and designers work together to realize this vision. In this spirit, the Commission has recently launched its communication on the new European Bauhaus. I very much appreciate this step by the Commission to give clarity to the concept and fill the frame with more details, including policy actions and funding possibilities. About 85 million euros of funding will be dedicated to new European Bauhaus projects from EU programs in 2021 to 2022. Horizon Europe, the LIFE program for the environment and climate action, and the European Regional Development Fund. Many other EU programs will integrate the new European Bauhaus as an element of context or priority without a predefined dedicated budget. In addition, the Commission will invite the Member States to use the new European Bauhaus core values in their strategies for territorial and socio-economic development and mobilize the relevant parts of their recovery and resilience plans, as well as the programs under cohesion policy. The European Parliament will now clarify its position in a report on new European Bauhaus, which will probably be negotiated between the two leading committees, CULT and ITRE. One thing is already clear: even if the project still lacks concrete form, the new European Bauhaus certainly has the potential to trigger an interdisciplinary process to answer the questions of how we want to live together in Europe in the future. It can contribute to developing affordable solutions for livable living, working and leisure spaces for our EU citizens, and to realizing the Green Deal. The combination of the values of sustainability, aesthetics, and inclusivity also enables a new, different way of looking at things. Science, design, architecture, and culture also allow for different perspectives, and each in itself is important for a holistic approach. But to realize the potential, we first need concrete ideas that go beyond the theoretical construct, ideas that people can understand, ideas that are affordable. Housing, for example, must be and remain affordable for citizens. The European Bauhaus has the potential to trigger real change, but only if this project is approached in the right way. Involving citizens and providing sufficient resources, then we can develop an innovative framework and combine sustainable and aesthetics to support, facilitate, and accelerate ecological change. If we can build a real bridge between the world of art and culture on the one hand and the world of science and technology on the other, we can trigger systemic change. The new European Bauhaus is about how we live together, about our values, about our shared spaces of work and leisure, about our collective and private experiences. It is meant to be a project for all regions in Europe. By promoting affordable solutions, it aims to contribute also to social cohesion. It is a great opportunity to actively address the relevant issues of the present and to shape our common shared future through culture. I wish this initiative great success and many thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Sabine, for your words, although they are on a video recording. And now, without further delay, I would like to give the floor to our last speaker, whom I would like to welcome to this event organized by our group, Mrs. Sorry, I don't know if you are listening.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay, sorry, because I didn't listen the sound return back. Mrs. Karhalainen, whom I would like to thank enormously for her great collaboration and willingness to work together since the first steps of this project. Please, and you have the floor.
Dear chairs, dear members of the European Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you for invitation to this debate, bringing together friends of the new European Bauhaus to discuss the future of its initiative. The Bauhaus of the early 20th century was a visionary movement with a radical concept to reimagine the material world in order to reflect the unity of all the arts. The new European Bauhaus is has similar values. It brings together science and technology with art and culture in the overall project of a green transition that is necessary, but at the same time accessible to and shaped by people. Our Committee of the Regions welcomed the initiative from the beginning. 1 year after, we are happy to see the ambitious, dedicated Commission communication, and we are fully support its 3 values: beautiful, sustainable, together, and its 3 principles. We are particularly keen on the multi-level approach to transformation from global to local, and we look forward to continue the cooperation with the framework of the new European Bauhaus community, the NEBFG. This initiative provides the opportunity to harness the creative potential of regions and municipalities, engage and involve members of the public in the transformation process, and thereby create accepted and sustainable solutions that make the Green Deal tangible. This is equally important in the big cities as in the countryside with its villages and small towns. Rural areas are home to 137 million Europeans. Their homes, their workplaces, their public infrastructure, and their cultural heritage. We therefore welcome the fact that the Commission's long-term vision for rural areas foreseen the representation of rural areas in the new Bauhaus. Indeed, for this initiative to become a real movement and not just another top-down project, ownership must trickle down to the citizens at grassroots level and to beyond large urban areas. Accessibility to the average citizens is an important aspect of the new European Bauhaus initiative. To be successful, this exercise must be socially and territorially inclusive. Locally and regionally elected representatives can be key levers and grassroots level, bringing closer to people also the concept of the Green Deal, New Deal. We need to reflect further on integrating the various levels of planning, from the single building to a distinct to the entire region, factoring the sustainable mobility, reduced land use, and greater urban biodiversity. We also need to improve exchanges between local and regional authorities on innovative concepts, approaches and competencies, for example, by including the new European Bauhaus in the knowledge exchange platform. Back in April, the Committee of Region organized a vivid online conversation with Commissioners Gabriel and Ferrara, with the participation of mayors of European capitals of culture and European capitals of innovation. The findings apply to innovation projects in cities, and we should also not forget the rural areas. New forms of governance, such as multi-level, decentralized, or participatory governance, which stress across generations and involve youth in decision-making. We championized by many cities and regions in a truly bottom-up approach. Bringing in the European capitals of culture as well as the European capitals of innovation proved to be a very useful exercise. One of the tangible results is the proposal to establish a new European Bauhaus label modeled on the Seal of Excellencies. The Committee on Region will continue to contribute, raise awareness, and promote the debate in our members' constituencies, mobilize citizens and private sector actors, and share available resources to support the new European Bauhaus. We will also seek that cultural heritage remains an integral part of this initiative that can give the renovation wave a soul and identity, while also promoting a holistic view on how we want to develop our cities and regions. The Bauhaus story shows the need for local solutions that take into account the interest and desire of the citizens that is based on the local ownership and inspiration. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Anne, for your inputs and for your comments. And I believe that your contributions have been of great value, and no doubt that the cooperation between our institutions will be key to making the new European Bauhaus a success. So I think we have more or less arrived to the final, to the end. We have had a little bit delay of 15 minutes, but I would like to end by thanking all those who have participated in this event, and also all the people who have followed us, both from Zoom and YouTube. All of you have contributed to make this event a success and to share our views in order to make this new European Bauhaus a real initiative of participation, collaboration, and exchange, and to achieve its final goal, to really benefit and improve the lives of our citizens. Thank you all very much, and I wish you a happy evening. Bye.